Another week of talking ball with Coach Gut, Jeff Jazeski alongside Coach Mike Gatilius. Coach, before we get into anything, how are we halfway through the season already?
It's been flying. I can't believe how fast it's gone. I mean, training camp, they report, and here we are, bam.
First Landmark Conference game in the books. Obviously, you get to go and play a really, really good football team, 11th and 12th ranked in the country, a team that you knew was going to be tough, that you knew they were going to be physical. We did some good things offensively. We did some good things defensively early on, but ultimately the result wasn't what we wanted it to be at the end of the day. You know, what did you see from your guys as we opened up conference play in the Landmark on the road for the first time?
You know, I think early on we were hanging with them. It was a close game. We were down. You know, we went into halftime. We were down by 2 scores, really. And so, you know, that wasn't where we wanted to be, but we didn't feel like they were really pushing us around at that point. And then as the game wore on, you could really see the difference that we're not quite at their level yet. I didn't feel like they ran us off the field, but we've still got to do some more improving before we're going to, you know, really compete with the teams that are in the top 10, top 15 in the country.
You know, obviously you get some tape, you get to see these teams in the Landmark for the first time against non-conference teams, but now that everybody but one team has played their first Landmark Conference game, how does that change what you can kind of do scout-wise from film against the teams you know you're going to be playing against?
It's interesting because you could start saying, well, they played well against this team, not that one, and so you start doing the comparison game. And that can be dangerous because, you know, on any given Saturday, somebody can have a good day and someone has a bad day, and you're on the shortchange end of that. But overall, for talent evaluation, now that we have some more common opponents, it's a little easier to start saying, okay, I feel that this is the level we're going to be playing at.
You know, when you look at, you know, the Landmark from a broad perspective compared to the NUMAC, which we, you know, spent the last 5 years in, you don't have 2 teams with the triple option anymore. What overall from a, you know, scheme and kind of organizational standpoint are you seeing from these teams that you have to do differently from years past in?
I think, you know, the NUMAC had such a wide variety of offense. Again, the triple options, and then, you know, Coast Guard would just throw it around everywhere. So it was a huge spectrum. I think we see a little more solid run game in the Landmark so far, and a more, maybe from top to bottom, more physical brand of football.
Coach, when you talk about your team and you look at through 5 weeks, who is somebody that maybe when you look at the stat sheet isn't the guy that pops off at the top like a Preston Jeffrey or a Carson Henry or a Madden Lowe, but just a guy that you've been really impressed with how solid and productive they've been this year?
I think one is a really young guy. He's a freshman. Connor Jennings on the defensive line has really played a lot of snaps and has shown he's going to be a really good one. I mean, he's good right now, but he's got, you know, he hasn't hit his ceiling yet, so he's got a long way to go. But he's really stepped up, you know. And on the offensive line, you don't hear a lot about him. You don't, which is a good thing because you know, when you're on the line, when you get mentioned, it's usually because you give up a sack or something like that. But Grant Wicks on the O-line has really done a great job.
And now, you know, Coach, we know it's conference play the rest of the way. You know what you're up against each and every week. What's the overall biggest thing that you're trying to instill in the guys through these last 5 weeks of the season?
I think, you know, it's more just keeping them process-oriented. Like, we're not as good as we can be yet. Keep working on it. Treat each day at practice as a challenge to be better than they were the day before. And, you know, you have a tendency, you get into the season and you think, okay, well, I know what I'm doing. Let's just get the reps in. I'll be ready to go. And we want to stay away from that staleness. And that's on me to make sure that it stays fresh for the guys.
And then finally, just a quick thought, you know, as you do your prep this week, just a quick thought as to what you've seen from Moravian so far this year.
Yeah, so far Moravian, they've had a tough schedule. They've played some good games. They're a really solid team. They're a good team. They run the ball well. They throw it well. And defensively, they have some guys that can really run around and they'll blitz you, which has been, you know, a little bit of a weak point for us this year. So we have a lot of work to do on that end.
All right, Coach, thanks so much for your time. Best of luck this weekend.
Thanks, Jeff.